with Dillon Collins, Jake McCown, and our guest, Jesse Mitchell, or Mitch Valentine, or the Adonis, or the Heartbreaker. Which name do you prefer to go by? And what diagnosed mental disease do you like to talk about first?
Just Mitch, guys. And it's an honor to be your first guest here on this Degenerate Life. You guys need to redo that? Okay. I thought we had some technical difficulties.
Was that your mental illness kicking
No,
in?
yeah, we're good, dude. What do you worry? Don't worry about anything.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're here, man. I'm here. I'm risking my life. I'm here. You're welcome. What's up?
Thanks for doing this, man. It's a pleasure to have you, the one person that was willing to break quarantine to do our podcast.
Well, man, it's like this. Like, I've been literally for 6 weeks just hanging out at the house with the roommates, going over to the missus' house, getting my BAP on, because I'm Batman. I had to fucking, go to take her to bed, BAP and Beyond real quick. And then it's like,
They're closed.
Well,
No, it's an essential workforce.
I'm here, man. I've been bored out of my mind, and let's talk, man. Let's have some fun.
So what's your roommate situation like right now?
Oh man, that's a great question.
You upgraded out of your car, which we're all happy for.
It's a very affordable situation.
So with your mom?
No, actually. Unlike most of the Chico comedy scene, I don't live with my parents.
Who do you live with? How much rent, if you don't mind giving us?
You want to know my financials?
Yes.
Here, let me
Pull up your
my
last.
bank account.
Yeah, thank you.
It's actually really good. You know what's really crazy is right now with all this shit, man. If you guys know, I had like 4 jobs.
Just answer the goddamn question, Mitch.
Hold on. I had like 4 jobs before all this started, and I was busy, working all the time or whatever. And so it's been cool to have a break. But what's crazy is with unemployment and with the stimulus, I actually have more money now than I've ever had in my life. Not to brag.
It feels good to be a freeloader again, doesn't it?
It feels great, man. It feels great to actually not worry. I mean, I feel bad for people that are struggling and worrying right now.
Because you're not working at all, right?
I'm not working at all, bro.
So when you were working, there was one day you stayed at my house because you were like, I can't stay in my car one more day. So I set up the air mattress and stuff for you. And you were working like 2 jobs at that time? 4 jobs. And now you're working 0 jobs and you're doing better.
I'm in the financially best state of my my life. Right
Socialism at its finest.
I love it. No, man. And by the way, that air mattress was super comfortable.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got you, man.
In between, it was in a tough relationship and in between houses, and I slept in my car for 2 weeks, and I slept on Dillon's floor for one night.
You went straight back to the car after that.
Straight back to the car.
Can you talk about the time that you were? I know you're completely sober now, right? Except for marijuana, Mitch.
Yes, here and there. I mean, yeah, like honestly, like I gotta be careful because I have asthma. So like I like smoking weed, but like when I smoke it, like it's hard to breathe because of my fucking asthma. I'm really not doing much, guys.
Edibles or?
Nah, they make me sick.
So talk about the time when because I definitely used to be like a degenerate hardcore, like.
Used to be.
I mean, compared to what I used to be, I used to live with my girlfriend, her sister, her mom, and I struggled to come up with my $300 of the rent because I would always go gamble it all the time. Were you ever degenerate, you would say? And if so, what was your hardest partying days?
As you guys know, friends of mine know, like I pursued pro wrestling, right, for over a decade. And that was tough because it was physically demanding, it was financially demanding, and the deal was, man, we put in all this work where we train hard, man, we watch what we eat, we want to be in good shape, promote the show, we get the tickets, the flyers, the sponsors, we do the show, and then after the show, we do all this work, man, for one thing, to go to the bar and just get hammered. So during that time, lots of drinking and lots of financial struggles. The Adonis bro, he likes to smoke crack.
I know that guy.
That's one of your other personalities.
He is definitely not me. That is my uncle, and he is a crazy son of a bitch.
How many years in prison did the Adonis bro do?
Over 20.
Do you feel like the prison was just like inside of himself the whole time?
Kind of like your other personalities?
Partially, man. Partially. I don't know. That's a good question. I actually did a full interview with the Adonis bro on my podcast recently.
Save your goddamn plugs to the end, motherfucker.
Check that
yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ.
We'll let you plug your shit at the end when no one's listening.
That's what she said.
Mitch, this wasn't supposed to turn into a goddamn interview, but here you are talking about yourself like this is goddamn James Lipton and behind the studio. We did get a fan question for you.
Oh boy.
From a little lady named Robin. Robin Engel, not your mom. Your mom's name's Robin too, right?
Yeah.
So Robin Engel from the comedy scene asks Mitch, what are you doing for tips nowadays? Because if you didn't know, Mitch used to bring a tip jar to open mics and harass the regulars for money. And then she follows up with, how big is your tip nowadays?
We gotta say, man, a shout out to Miss Alma for that idea to bring a tip jar on stage.
No, definitely not shout out to Miss Alma for that.
Yeah, shout out, because why are you gonna?
She's
why
now
not?
blacklisted.
Why would you not ask for money if you're going up and performing?
Like, if somebody asked you to perform, but if you just go sign up for open mic, I don't know if the tip jar is the way to do it.
I mean, I used to ask for money when I hit in the batting cage. People that watch would be like, you need to give me some money.
Might as well. I mean, people are sitting on the corner playing the guitars, holding up cardboard signs. I'm in front of a bar trying to entertain a crowd with a microphone. Give me $1.
I have noticed you haven't been bringing the tip jar very much recently.
Well, I haven't been doing any comedy.
But even
recently.
before that.
Yeah, I would do it. I wouldn't really do it too much. I just think that, like, I was only doing I was doing the studio every Wednesday. I was also promoting shows there, so I felt like, let's not bring a tip cup and ask for money while we're trying to sell tickets to this same venue for a different show.
Because I've done it at, like, Duffy's, and at Farm Star Pizza I do it right before, like, the headliner or something. You're like, hey, you pass out a tip jar and then pick it up. Because that's an extra way to make an extra $100 or more. But to ask just for one comic at an open mic, and you probably eat a dick up there, I don't think it's the look that I would ever want.
How much shit do you get for your tip jar?
Well, okay, so it's definitely caused some ruckus. We've had the guy, of course, pull out the $100. I was just about to say for me to pull my dick out, which was a great moment.
All time great.
Great moment. I've had I've had lighters in the tip cup. I've had I've had $20 nights. I've had $5 nights.
One time you had somebody stick their dick inside of it.
I've had a dick in my tip cup.
That was a good moment.
I had a lady take my tip cup and throw it at me.
All time moment. Shout out to her. I would like to have her on the podcast.
Which mic was that?
That was at the studio. It was funny. She was actually scheduled to go up, so she had all her friends there. And I think she was just getting frustrated because she brought like 10 or 15 people, so we just kept bumping her to the end of the mic. And then, like, I was up right before her, so, like, her frustration level was at an all-time high.
I might have been hosting that night.
You were.
She was like 7th, and then you showed up late, and I was like put you in front of her. She got bumped a little bit, but she was freaking out over nothing. She was there for like an hour into the mic, and they were drunk as shit, all being a bunch of bitches. But sometimes that's what you gotta do. Like,
you were like, bro, I put you in the best spot, and it was fine. It was funny because she threw the tip cup at me, which had quarters in it. You know what I mean? And so I picked up a quarter and I looked at her and I said, "You see this quarter right here? This is more money than you're ever gonna make in stand-up comedy." And we haven't seen her since.
Yeah. Shout out to you making sure that she doesn't bring all her friends anymore. Thanks, man.
Well, thank God we get the Adonis bro to show up and draw a crowd now.
The Adonis bro works really well at the down low because everybody gets it that it's like ridiculous and we're all having a fun time. For as shitty as it is and can be, that's where I did stand up the first time. I've done the down low so many times. I've had the worst moments of my life on this down low stage.
Have you been keeping busy with work, Mitch?
No, he doesn't work at all.
You're not working?
Unemployment, bro.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. 6 weeks just about. I mean, we did comedy in Sacramento on a Friday. I remember we rode up there for that comedy competition. And
Vince's open mic, because we stopped in Yuba City to do the open mic at Steelhouse Coffee, which was one of the weirdest moments.
I just remember talking about a gangbang on stage and looking at this girl and being like, what did I say? I was like,
yeah. Okay, so here's what happened.
That's the clean mic too, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah. So fucking Mitch is on stage. It doesn't do any clean material at all. Like it looks straight at this girl after talking about a gangbang. It goes, "How old are you?"
No, I was like, "You're 18, right?"
And she goes, "No, I'm 17." And then everyone felt uncomfortable.
Mitch is like, "Swing."
No, yeah, I don't even know what you followed up with, but it should have been nothing. Cause
that was fun though, man. Those guys in Yuba City are cool, man. That was a good time.
Speaking of child predators, we have Chris Hansen do our promo that he completely fucked up that we talked about in the last episode. You actually would have been great for the last episode.
You guys need to get a like Hulk Hogan, man, or something. You know what I mean? Like a big time recognizable celebrity.
The guy that podcasts from his phone is telling us that we need to upgrade our shit.
It's an iPhone.
Go a little harder. Me and Dillon are literally talking into the same mic like we're singing a fucking duet. This is awesome. Mitch is over there hogging the fucking mic, and I'm forced to like pop in questions like I'm like an NPR interviewer right now. So anyways, how you been doing, Dillon? What's Starbucks like?
Dude, it's so fucking busy because we're like the only Starbucks in town open, and there'll be like a line of hella people in there. Like, you got to decide at what point you stop taking people's orders and start making people's drinks. So I'll take like 3 orders and then make the drinks. And this bitch today was like, "Oh, so now you gonna stop my drink?" And I wanted to just be like, if I knew how to work there more, like how to refund her order, I'd be like, no, I'm not. And I would have just refunded her shit and been like, go fuck yourself.
Let me tell you what it's like podcasting with Dillon. It's literally like if you ever fucked a hot girl back in the day, like you were fucking a hot girl, and then all of a sudden she's like, I don't have the time of day for you, but you're still trying to hit her up, and she responds every few hours or so. That's what it's like communicating with Dillon. I'm like, Dillon, you gonna post that YouTube clip, or are you gonna post a podcast? And he's like, yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'm about to do it. And then I don't want to like double text too. I'm like, am I hitting him up too much? Like, what's going on? And it's like you're like, it's like I'm like trying way too hard, and then Dillon's like, yeah, whatever, yeah, I'll get to it, sure, yeah, I'll definitely put that Chris Hansen clip in there that you paid $50 for, no problem. And then he doesn't do it. It's like
I for the record, I did put the Chris Hansen clip in there. It just wasn't in the right spot. I put it in there when we were talking about it, just so everybody can understand how shitty it was.
Man, I'll straight up, if I'm texting a girl, man, and she does like stop texting me, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'll just straight up ask her, be like, well, are you fucking your ex? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? You gotta call people out on their shit, you know?
dating advice from Mitch Valentine over here.
No problem.
Mitch, let's recap on your current dating situation. You were the current girl you're having sex with. You used to live with, but now you live with roommates. But now you're still having sex with her. Why don't you go ahead and is that 100% accurate?
For 7 years on and off, I've been hooking up with this girl, man. She's a great woman, you know, she really is. We're just probably not supposed to be together. But what are you gonna do? It's a worldwide pandemic. The choices are very limited. So it feels like as soon as I got my own place, right? I got my own room, like I'm ready to go, like I'm ready to have just girls in and out of my room. Let's rock and roll. Oh, the whole world shuts down and people are scared to hang out with people. So yeah, man, no, I've been bapping the ex. It's been good.
Do you tell her, like, when you hit her up, like, you know, choices are limited? What are you up to?
As long as we only hang out for a couple hours, it's good. You know, anything past the 3-hour mark, that's when it just goes to hell. That's when you got to get out of there. Escape with your life.
What happens after that 3rd hour? It's like feeding gremlins after midnight, or what?
Personal sex life here on this Degenerate Life. You know, let's actually talk about.
Mitch is taking charge of our podcast.
Yeah, let's talk about some sexual experiences, guys. Well, I want to ask you guys a question. What was your most embarrassing or regretful sexual experience that you ever had?
In my first semester at community college, I met this girl on Tinder. I was a virgin at the time. We started talking and stuff, and we hung out one time. I swear, girls on their first date, they always pull out that, like, I'm on my period shit. Or maybe that's just me. So we didn't fuck on the first date, and the second date, we went to a party downtown, and we just got trashed on, like, Burnett's, and I was drunk as shit. And we had this plan to go stay the night at somebody else's house, or not house, but apartment. Finally got back to the room and stuff, and we were gonna fuck, and I couldn't get hard. Got way too drunk.
Was she understanding?
Like we were both fucking hammered.
Been there with some Black Velvet.
No, Black Velvet is the worst, dude. The easiest to steal, but the worst to drink. It's almost like they want you to steal it, so they can just count it as a loss.
What about you, Mitch? What's your most embarrassing? And what's the worst quality about your act?
Oh my gosh, you guys want to hear something just disgusting or what? I mean, this is just
Absolutely not. This is a children's podcast.
So actually, all right. So I was like 21. She was like 19. She was hot, bro. She was really hot, but she was from Orland, so she was a little fucking weird. And we get into my room. We met at a class in college, drama class. So we end up, you know, we do the class, whatever. We end up going back to my place. We're in the room. We're getting naked, and no, she just had the biggest bush ever, right? And it was like she was this hot 19-year-old. This is the last thing I expected. Like the legs were shaved and everything, but the biggest bush ever. So like I bapped her, but then like afterwards I was like, before round 2, I was like, why don't you go in the shower? Here's some Nair. I swear to God. I was like, here's some Nair, some cream. I was like, let's Nair all that shit off if we're going round 2. Because I can't do the big ass bush, man.
Did you have Nair from your wrestling days?
I used to, Nair my back and shit. It was hilarious. People would walk in. My roommates and stuff would walk in. I'd be in a towel with another dude like shaving my back or nairing my back.
Yeah, it's the wrestling game.
Go with that sex story.
You're like, you swear he's just shaving my back for the show.
All right, another good one, wrestling sex story. So shaving my back. So we're at Gold Country Casino, drinking all night. Ended up in the room. It was these 2 sisters, and I was in bed with one of the sisters, and my buddy was in the chair, like acting like he was asleep, And the girl that I was in bed with, I was getting ready to bap, and she just kept looking over at him. She's like, "No, he's watching, he's awake." And I was like, "No, he's asleep." And she's like, "No, he's awake." I'm like, "Shoop." I was like, "Are you awake?" And he was just like, "Nope." And that convinced her. Cool, so I got it in.
So I just got back from the deployment, and I was in Hawaii, and like literally like a couple days back from deployment. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there. I don't have a cut dick. So this girl was giving me head, and it was like she was so hot, so fucking hot. She pulled too fucking hard or something. I don't know if it has to do with me not being circumcised, but she fucking made my dick start bleeding because she was yanking on it too hard. So my dick starts bleeding. And she like started freaking out. I'm like, "Are you on your period?" Like I start blaming her and getting mad at her. Like, "This is disgusting. You're gross." Like yelling at her. But it's actually my dick bleeding, and she was like super understanding. She went and got toilet paper and put it on my dick, and like this is the first night I met her a couple hours ago.
So of course you raw dogged her with an open sore.
No, I didn't fuck her that night, but she actually moved to Hawaii to be my girlfriend later on, so it actually went okay. But that night was like, oh god damn, I'm glad I'll never see you again. But lo and behold, also that girl, she's fucking nuts. If you couldn't tell. I went home for Christmas, like a couple weeks later. She sent a package of cookies, and these cookies were literally dicks and pussies. She sent it to my parents' house where I was, and I was watching my mom open the box and starts eating these dick cookies. She doesn't realize they're dick cookies. I was just watching this, this 55-year-old lady eating dick cookies, not understanding what the fuck she's doing. But yeah, that's the most embarrassing sex story for sure.
It makes me think of the legend of the bloody gangbang brothers. When you talk about the blood and whatnot, you guys want to hear the legend of the bloody gangbang brothers?
I guess we have to at this point.
So again, I brought up my buddy Shoop earlier. We were in Reno for a wrestling show, and he had bapped this girl previous in Reno, and so we had a motel room, and we bring the girl to the motel room, and I think we were drinking like what's that Canadian whiskey?
That would be Black Velvet.
No, it's something else, some kind of Canadian whiskey. Well, next thing you know, she's my buddy Shoop is going down on this girl, right? And he comes up, and he's just got fucking blood all around his mouth and his lips and everything. She gave a hell of a blowjob though, but poor Shoop had to put that in his mouth.
That's fucking disgusting, dude.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And then the best part was too, like, so we bapped this girl and she's bleeding, you know what I mean? And there's there's towels everywhere with blood on them, and then our buddy Rick comes in. It looks like a murder's happened, there's just bloody towels everywhere, and yeah, it was brutal.
So your buddy got his Red Wings.
Yeah, he did.
Have you done that?
No. It took a long time for me to even lick a girl's pussy, man. I refused to do it, I was like against it. It was like against my my religion or something. I would not do it.
Bro, I love eating pussy. Like, it's like I have to eat pussy.
I like it now. It depends on the pussy. Like, it has to be fucking good, and has to smell good,
Well, of course.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, it's called standards, dude. I like how you said that like you had made this crazy discovery. Don't eat it if it smells like shit. We were supposed to be like, what?
Yeah, I won't touch a girl with a big old bush. Some people like that though. Some people prefer that. Dillon, I mean, you're a young.
Nobody prefers that. I mean, some people do. Some people that are disgusting. Some people like Jacob McCown. I'm sorry, and I meant to say Jacob McClain. Here we are, dropping the wrong name on my co-host.
How often do you guys get confused for each other, man? It's two Jacobs with an MC last name.
I mean, not that often. We're pretty different. Like, one's a hippie burnout, and the other works the down low. No, we don't get confused that often. I actually love Jake McClain, dude. He's funny as fuck. He's supposed to be here instead of you. Just kidding. Yeah, so I'm not working either, dude, but today I tore up my entire front lawn, and I didn't tear it out, but I watched as my brother-in-law came with a tractor and used his man skills to rip out my front lawn. Like, do you have like a lot of man skills? Can you like fix stuff around your house, or do you have to call like an actual man to your house to fix things? Because it's like an insecurity of mine. Like, I can't fucking do shit with a goddamn wrench or a hammer. Like, I can do the very basics, I'll say that. But it's like I was never taught how to do that from my dad. It's something I definitely resent to this day. What about you, Mitch?
Not to make this a sob story, but I didn't have a dad growing up to show me how to be a man. But no, I'm strong as an ox, so usually I just like blunt force to like move anything or do anything. But for the most part, no, man. I got a best friend named GDD who's a genius. He's a fix-it man. He can do it all. So any issues I have with my car or fucking my house or anything, dude, I just hit up GDD. Shout out to him, man. He's having some, he's going through it right now. So big shout out to the one and only goddamn Dan. Guy won't take his shoes off won't put his shoes on after 5 p.m. And he says, if you're not drooling, you're not sleeping.
He sounds like somebody you would associate with.
He's great.
What's he going through right now?
He's just going through some stuff, man. He's real supportive of my sobriety, though. You know, he'll be like,
Well,
you know,
I mean,
Mitch,
how many people are supportive of your sobriety compared to not? For the record, I'm not.
I'd say, yeah, you're definitely the most unsupportive. But GDD, man, he'll be like, you know, you might be sober, but you make me want to drink. So it's always nice to hear. That's usually the response he gets at a mic, too.
You're just bombing over
It's
here.
good. I'm bombing on a podcast.
Yeah, congratulations.
Wouldn't be the first time.
What about you, Dillon? Do you have a dad? No, I'm just kidding. Do you have any man skills?
I got some man skills. I mean, not really, actually. Like, I'm pretty much useless. If I'm trying to think about the things I could fix in my room if they broke, and it's pretty limited, you know? I could do like the technical shit, I guess.
Feel that I walk a little tight line with my girlfriend. It's like I can't be like, why can't be like more like a woman and go cook me dinner and have that ready? Like, she can be like, why don't you be more of a man and goddamn remodel our kitchen or something like that? Like, she could say that easily because I don't fucking do that.
Well, yeah, man. What I think more sexual stories are really good for the listeners. You know, I think they really enjoy just imagining us just naked with women.
Hold on. When you got here, you're like, your podcast is very aggressive and too sexual and vulgar. And now you're sitting here like, let's go back to eating pussy while it's bleeding. That's what you're telling us right now.
I mean, we can go everywhere you guys want, man. It's your podcast.
Well, no, like let's talk more about sex like you want to. 3 dudes in a small room. Let's talk about more sex. Mitch, actually, his claim to fame is banging, what was that, one of the first WWF divas, Sunny?
And the original diva.
The original diva.
WWE Hall of Famer. Fresh out of prison. Old Tammy Lynn Sitch, a.k.a. Sunny.
Can you talk about that story a little bit? Like, that's one of my favorite stories about you.
I've loved pro wrestling since I was 12 years old, and here's a woman that did it all in wrestling, really. Like, WrestleMania, she was the most downloaded celebrity in the world in 1996, right there with Pamela Anderson, and just happened to be at an event with her. Wasn't a big fan of her. 96 was a little before my time, but I knew who she was, and I just went up and talked to her, and we ended up just clicking and talking and all night, and she told me that I was going to go to her hotel room with her that night. And I was like, all right, well, sounds good to me. Yeah, I mean, next thing you know, we're up there in the Holiday Inn suite. It was about to go down, and I told her, you know, I went to take my shirt off, and I said, all right, are you ready for a real bad tattoo and a belly that's not in shape? Because this woman has been known to have sex with some of the most prolific superstars of pro wrestling. We're talking Shawn Michaels, British Bulldog,
The Heartbreaker.
you know, and now here she is.
Wait, before you had sex with her, she's like, before I let you do this, let me see you're closer in the ring. You had to do your finishing move.
No, but what was crazy was she was like, we got to have the USA Network on, right? Which is where all the wrestling is on the USA Network. She's like, got to have the USA Network on. And it was WrestleMania weekend, so we're naked on the bed. I'm about to put old Alfred Mitchcock inside. And
For the record, Raw or are you using protection?
Yeah, well, it's a Hall of Fame.
It's like she slept with Triple H, so if he fucks her raw dog, then he gets the Triple H's power.
Powers, Shawn Michaels, yeah, that's what I was hoping. Well, I was just like, I had condoms in my back pocket, and I was like,
No, I'm gonna get her pregnant.
I was like, man, WWE Hall of Famer, the pussy looked good. I was like, fuck it. I just threw the condoms went flying across the room, you know? And right before I put it in, the commercial on the TV, on the USA Network, came on for the WWE Hall of Fame. Like the music, they have a certain tune and a music for that show. And I was like, oh, this is just magical. It was amazing, man. And to call, and then of course, what do you do, right? Like you just have sex with a WWE Hall of Famer, you raw dog her in a motel room. of course, come inside.
Retire. Like, does it get any better than that?
No, I mean, that's pretty much what I did. But I called my wrestling trainer. You know what I mean? I was like, "You're not gonna fucking believe this," and they didn't. No one believed me. But then, of course, as things progressed, you know, it was like the talk of the NorCal wrestling world, man. It was pretty fun time. I moved out to Pennsylvania for a month. It turned out to be a little bit of a crazy experience, man. She had a problem with vodka and pills and seizures and DUIs, and so I got the fuck out.
Having fun. That's what you had a problem with, Mitch?
Always.
That's what it sounds like.
Were you her rock bottom?
Man, no, I mean close, definitely close.
She talks about it in meetings and circles. And then I took this amateur wrestler back to my place and made him move out to Pennsylvania.
Do you think when she was fucking you, she was thinking about getting a DUI?
No, she was definitely thinking about Triple H.
No, I don't know, man. She taught me some things though. That's for sure. She
Like wrestling moves, or
she taught me. Well, it's weird. She taught me about curling the finger when you're eating. So you're eating pussy. I mean, I want to keep this clean. So you're
Kids show.
It's kids show. So she's got this thing where she's like, you eat the pussy and you got to curl your finger in there. And I thought that, but a lot of girls don't like that. So I thought she taught me like the ultimate trick, like curling the finger. But it turns out like I think that was just her.
Yeah,
thing,
fish
'cause
hook.
her pussy was like, so beat up. Maybe she just seen it. I don't know, dude. But it was tight, man. Honestly, the pussy was really tight, and it was. She could not suck a dick though.
I mean, when you used to be that hot, you never had to, right?
Yeah, she never learned. I tried to teach her a couple times.
I love that story, honestly. I love when you tell it. It's the second time hearing it, but I love it. Did it elevate your status in the amateur wrestling world?
What's funny is it actually cost me bookings. So like I had a bunch of bookings in California, and I moved out to Pennsylvania and lost them all. And then I had procured a booking in Pennsylvania, like through training and stuff and talking with the guy. And then all her DUI and craziness happened, and I had to bail the day of that booking. So most of the guys that sleep with her, man, she gets some bookings, she gets some connections. For me, it just fucking cost me a bunch of bookings and scarred me for life, man. It was I escaped with my life, bro. Straight up. Like I mean, she was passed out drunk. I like packed all my shit quietly, like left. You know what I mean? I had to stay the night somewhere, and she, you know, it was wild, man. It was wild escaping out of there, but I did. I made it.
At that time in that like place and time, would you have fucked like what's the lowest level or the ugliest wrestler you would have fucked? Would you have fucked China?
No, man, no. She was actually pretty cute, man. Sunny was a beautiful woman. For the most part, I mean, obviously when you'll see pictures of her mugshots and she's fucking hammered and twacked out. She looks like shit, but you know she looked good a lot of the time. And what's crazy is that's the only woman in wrestling that I've ever.
Yeah, so you never fucked any. Like, is there a bunch of like amateur women wrestlers?
There's not very many, but there's a couple.
It's the same for comedy, though. There's always a couple. It's like high school shit, you know? When you have like a clique like that, it's the same as shit. Now that I'm working at Safeway, dude, I see that. It was the same at McDonald's, dude. Everybody was putting their fucking chicken nuggets in each other's.
Dipping sauce.
Yeah. You keep mixing the sauces, dude.
Wrestling and comedy is, I've heard people say this, is like, it's like high school with money.
I mean, anything is, dude.
What's your comedy gonna be like when we get back, or what do you think comedy's gonna be like when it gets back to normal?
You know, man, I don't know. This is you guys know I was I was a little apprehensive about coming here because, like, you know, I haven't done a lot, hung out with a lot of people, and I think a lot of people are gonna be apprehensive to do anything. Even when all the bans are lifted and the bars can open and we can run comedy shows, people are gonna be like, well, do I really want to go into a bar with 50 plus people and bumping shoulders? And
I think that some people will do that, but I think that at least half the people will not give a fuck. I think at least 50% of people are going to be hella down. And sure, it'll be a little bit difficult to put on shows and stuff, but it'll be doable. But will it be like ethical? And then people are going to look at me like I'm a piece of shit? And are they going to, is the PC culture going to try to like bring me down or something, like I'm a bad person just because I want to do shows again?
I hope they do bring you down, dude. I hope they take you down hard.
Because I didn't want to start doing stand-up comedy to fucking have people in my inbox telling me that I'm a douchebag and a piece of shit.
I'm sorry about that message. I already said that, dude.
Yeah.
But I agree, dude. Like, people are gonna be like, the coronavirus is a thing, and not come out. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'll never live my life in fear. I'm gonna be one of these retards that goes out and catches the coronavirus first, because I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna sit here and live my life in fear of something that there's a 97% chance I'm gonna beat anyways.
What's funny is you'll fucking get coronavirus and you'll still be trying to come over here and do the podcast. You're like, what's the big deal, man? Just like, let's just do the fucking podcast, dude. Don't be a pussy. Let me just come over to your grandparents' house.
I'll pull Nana's headphone off her ear and I'll be like, I got the coronavirus, and then I'll slam it shut.
Try to go in for another handshake.
I tried to give Dillon's grandma a handshake, and she denied me.
Well, you can't blame her for that. That had nothing to do with the coronavirus.
That was before the quarantine, as I always say.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna go in waves, though. I think you are gonna have people that are like, fucking, like I see people, neighbors of mine, man, they're out there partying and shit. There's 20 fucking people in their house, like, just they don't give a shit, and that's fine. And I see it from both ways, honestly. Like I get the fact, like, I'm not gonna be scared. I'm not gonna, fucking be a bitch. But at the same time, it's like, well, let's just be careful. Let's be smart. Let's not, I don't know. It's a really weird thing, because we've never had anything like this happen to us in our lives. So it's a weird thing.
What's hilarious to me is people that'll have their gloves on and they'll come into Safeway just to get Starbucks. For no other reason, just to get a fucking caramel macchiato, and they'll have their gloves on and like hand sanitizer and shit, and you're like, you just came in fucking into the grocery store. What are you gonna do? Like, straight out and sanitize your whole body? Just the air in the grocery store if somebody had coronavirus.
A lot of people too, like, we might have already got it and just got through it because of our immune system.
I don't believe that.
Who knows, dude? It's the thing. Who knows? It's
I think that's the dumbest conspiracy of them all. Is people are like, we all had it back in November. Like, no, you fucking didn't. You just got the flu because you're a weak person.
And that's the thing, is like, it's only been 6 weeks, right? So like,
well, we're lucky in Butte County. We're in a good spot where we're like, down in the Bay Area, it'd be a lot, I'd say a lot more risky to go out to the grocery stores and shit. But where we are, we're not really at risk. We could probably have a bar open and probably not like spread the coronavirus, because it's probably not here as much as.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to have a newborn baby. I have to think about the coronavirus, so I'm gonna be out as much as I can. With that newborn crying all the time, fucking get me sick. I don't want to change no diaper. Like, I want my girlfriend to take care of me and the baby.
It's a degenerate life, man. I feel like, too, like, until, like, it's like with anything, man. Until you know somebody, or, it affects you in some way, you're not going to take it serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the same thing with drinking and driving.
I mean,
and a lot of things that, it's a feeling of invincibility to a certain extent. Because, I mean, and you also have to be realistic that we are in Chico, and we're really not at that much risk. I mean, Jake's at a bigger risk for getting, like, his house broken into and, like, fucking murdered by a meth head than coronavirus maybe at this point. Not to say that it couldn't get worse in the next couple weeks.
Speaking of that, dude, I installed the Ring doorbell. Where it films? You should see the cast of characters I see walk by my house at the, like, oddest hours, like 3 a.m., like, just fucking trash bags full of, like, soda cans and beer cans, like, walking past my house. I'm like, God damn, that motherfucker. This is like, it's a matter of time, like you said, like, before my house gets broken into, and I'm gonna fucking fill them with lead, dude. I got a couple guns, dude. They broke into the wrong motherfucking house. That's all I gotta say. I hope that happens. I live in the south side of Oroville. It's bound to happen. I'm ready for it. Like, literally, there's a gun by my head where I sleep. So
what makes you happy, Jake? Killing people that try to break in my house.
That would be the best day of my life. You mean I get to use this gun that I bought?
And you'd finally have a good answer for Germ's podcast.
There it is.
Yeah, I would. Also, like, after I shot the guy, I'd put the gun in my baby's crib and be like, I didn't shoot nobody. That was that baby.
That's literally the equivalent of, like, switching into the passenger seat, like, when you get getting pulled over for a DUI. Shit's never worked. I mean, maybe it's worked once. Like, remember when cops used to get drunk? Like, I'm not saying I do, but I know they did.
They still do.
Probably more often than we think. They're just safe because they don't have to worry about getting pulled over.
100%, yeah.
That's the most dangerous part about drinking and driving.
They have a star decal on the back of their car, so cops don't pull over cops. I think you knew that, right? You have a brother that's a cop, right?
Yeah, it's the the blue strip to let you know that you have like you're affiliated with the police department.
As much as I drink and drive, dude, I need one of those.
I don't drink and drive anymore. I don't drive at all. But
Still drink though.
definitely not gonna drink and drive once I'm back. I'm gonna have that interlock device on my car. But it's for the best. I won't drink and drive anymore because if I get another DUI in 10 years, I'm gonna get a felony. Then I won't be able to do this podcast anymore.
No, then you'll be an like accurate representation of this podcast.
We could do episodes from jail.
Every good Netflix documentary starts with a phone call from jail. You ever notice that? Like that's how our podcast can start. Do you accept a collect call from Dillon College? Yes. Welcome to this Degenerate Life.
That would be perfect. Maybe we can pull that off once I clear up my legal issues.
Or get some more. That's how we're gonna do it. You just did Germ's podcast. I gotta say, like, his voice is like he should be playing smooth jazz on like the over 40 radio station or an NPR like cooking show. Like that's the voice he has. Like, can you imagine his voice like doing like a high energy game show? Like
it's very soothing though. I find it soothing.
It's just like extra low energy over the course of the podcast. In a short video, I feel like he's a lot more energetic, but on the podcast,
Yeah, you sounded like Kylo Ren on that episode.
I didn't sound very good.
maybe he was just bored to death with you.
Yeah.
It's a goddamn Dylan Collins. So what's your favorite word? I guess I don't know. He just made up a dumb question because he was so sick of you.
No, you're just mad because he had me on the podcast and he's not even considering having you
No,
on.
he will never have me.
You're like not even in the running at all.
No, but I hope he comes here so I can try to roast him a little bit and give him shit.
Like he said that he would do podcast, but just not with you.
You reached out to him for this podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, if Jake doesn't come."
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's true. Yeah, he'll never have me on. It's not because I'm a bad podcaster. It's because he doesn't like the person I am.
He just doesn't like your comedy.
He doesn't like my comedy. He doesn't like who I stand for as a person. There's a lot of things he doesn't like about me. And, I get it. Sometimes I'm just too much alpha for people. As I say that in my voice that matches a 19-year-old. People get me and Dylan's voice confused on this podcast, I noticed.
It sounds very similar.
It's a voice that gets pussy.
Yeah, that'd be this voice right here.
Yeah, let Mitch
You
interject.
guys, let's talk about a good podcast. Let's talk about the Mitch Please podcast.
Dude, let's talk about that
4
podcast.
years, guys. 4 years.
It took 4 years to get to 44 episodes.
Isn't that cool? Like 3/4.
I mean, I guess so. What's funny is there's only 44 episodes over 4 years, and still most of them haven't been listened to.
I mean, honestly, they all have at least an average of like 100 or so viewers or whatever. You know what I mean? But the cool thing is every single one a new guest in person, and it's cool, man. And I feel like obviously. Inspired you guys, inspired Germ Leather. You guys are welcome. No, but it's just, it's facebook.com/Mitch Please Podcast, youtube.com/The Mitch Valentine. 44 episodes, the most recent episode with the Adonis. Dylan, you've been on the show.
Yeah, definitely check out my episode. It's by far the best episode.
What's been your favorite episode?
Ah, man, that one with the Adonis, bro, was a blast.
Okay, besides your most recent podcast that we all know you're trying to plug, what's your other favorite episode?
That's tough to say, man. What's really cool is I've had just the cast of characters that have been on there, guys that now are on like television, you know what I mean? Guys that are girls that are on television. It's just been really cool to think back and be like every interview was done in person, you know what I mean? Like in a car, at a building.
I wanted to ask, so how's the beef between you and Sydney going?
There's no beef, bro. I love Sydney.
You guys aren't still back and forth with each other?
The only beef there is the beef that you try to create every time you tell that story.
Why don't you tell that story, Dylan?
Well, we did. Mitch, does a lot of things and gets put into a lot of interesting situations. And sometimes people that when their kid dies of cancer, they're like, "Hey, Mitch, will you throw a comedy show for us?" And Mitch, being the amazing guy he is, says, "Yeah, of course I will." And then he books 10 comics from Chico.
Definitely an honor to be able to do that. You know what I mean? To
Oh,
go
sure.
to Feather Falls Casino, and I mean the auction that was done raised over $10,000 for that family and everything.
Exactly $0 in value, though, of all the stuff that was sold.
I mean, it was what it was. Man.
Priceless.
It was an honor. I think what it was too. I mean, definitely going back, like I would have been like, "Oh, let me just book Ellis Rodriguez and be done with it." But I didn't want to ask him for a big favor like that. I didn't have a budget for it. And I think in the end, what it really did, if everyone that was a part of that show looks back on it, is hopefully it humbled everybody. Because you had a crowd of 100 people, respectful, like adults that actually have money and are whatever. And, some laughs were had, a lot weren't.
Who had the best set of the night then?
That's tough, man. Probably me. Not to put myself over.
So when that kid had cancer, did they immediately reach out to Got Mitch Marketing? They're like, "Hey, things aren't going well. We're gonna need you to put on a show.
Facebook.com/GotMitchMarketing. Also Facebook.com/ProChampionshipEntertainment.
Don't plug your shit while we're talking about dead kids again, Mitch. Jesus.
Goddamn question.
I love the flyer for that dead kids show. It had like 8 pictures that looked like they were taken from Holocaust victims. It looked like pictures from polio, and it said like spaghetti dinner, like French or
Lasagna.
yeah, lasagna dinner, garlic bread included. Dude, if you would have booked like a headliner, it would have looked really bad when people were spending like $10,000 on a fucking pineapple upside down cake. Not that anybody would be greedy about a dead kid, but they might be.
Oh, like I said, man, it was what it was. Like I said, hopefully people learned from it. I know I learned.
So where does the beef come in with this other fellow Chico comedian?
So basically, again, we're doing a show for a family that just lost their kid to cancer. So I let everybody. I was real serious. Dillon, I lashed out at Dillon that day too. I was like, he's like, I'm drunk, taking a shit in the bathroom. I'm like, dude, if you come to this.
Oh
show
yeah,
drunk,
because you kept calling me, and I was kind of pissed off.
I was like, I think I started realizing, I was like, oh man, like.
You're like, oh, I booked all alcoholics. Like, who's on drugs?
Like every comic that went up there talked about drugs, sex, and.
I talked about McDonald's.
Dillon had a good set, actually. You had a good set. You actually were the one I was most worried about, and you actually probably did like the best, which was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, if we can talk about Sydney. Sydney knows I love her. She knows I'm over this whole thing. But since you guys want to keep harping on it, and I'm not gonna back down, I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Because the Mitch Heartbreaker Valentine doesn't back down.
Fucking, But basically, I mean, I told everybody, man. I said, guys, don't talk about dead kids. Don't talk about cancer.
What's crazy is you had Don on the show, and you were worried about me fucking up when Don's whole set, or not his whole set, but a lot of his jokes consist of dead kids.
Don and Sydney were worried. They called, and they were like, oh my gosh, we're so worried about.
Sydney always gets worried about shows, though.
Yeah, I was like, you guys are going to be fine, man. You guys are great. It was a tough thing, too, because Sydney was really stressed out about it. She was. She's like, I have to go on soon. And she went up to the guy and was like, I need to go on before the intermission, which there shouldn't have even been an intermission, but we don't need to get into that. But anyways, she went on right before intermission, and she was doing okay. And then she started talking about abortions, and
I think she talked about my cum at one point.
And it was a real awkward moment for everybody. But it's not like it was the only awkward moment, man. Like, a lot of the people that performed had awkward moments.
The lowest moment of the night was when you brought Germ up. Because I have the recording of it, and I've watched it back again, and you can literally, like, the show's fucking over. Like, we did an hour, and then we had an hour of selling shit, and the guy was like, blah, 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 won $10,000 for this carrot cake, and fucking then Phil's walking around with like this $10,000 fucking cake, like
arm wrestling the some of the dudes in the crowd.
And then all of a sudden, like,
which raised $20, by the way. So Phil actually raised $20 for the kids.
Oh wow,
thank you, Phil.
Yeah, good. Shout out to Phil. He's a
he
hero.
Probably did the best you could have done in that situation, with the way he was dealt, with the way the room was.
But then he left it to Germ, and Germ was like, "I don't even want to go up." And you're like, "No, Germ, let's just bring Germ up." And then you bring Germ up, and you do this for like 30 seconds, and you could just hear in the background everyone fucking leaving. Dude, you always put Germ in a bad spot, like that show in Paradise we did.
That's why you'll never be on this podcast either.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm the next guest. Because, I mean, with how well this is going.
So how loud did you yell at Sydney, and where did you hit her after she did that? Obviously not in the face. You don't want to leave marks. You're an experienced pro.
No, she felt bad about it, man. Everyone felt bad about it,
You just wish she felt worse about it.
I mean, you can't do anything about it. It's over with. Again, it's just things you learn from. You do stuff. You book things. You learn.
The whole show was it was just a fucked up situation.
Again, like to be at Feather Falls Casino in a sold out room with that crowd, that stage, the honor of doing that for that family. I mean, I felt like that was the most important thing I've ever done. But that's just me.
What would you say the worst show you've ever produced is?
I mean, there's so many to choose from, right? We could pick a wrestling show or a comedy show.
Well, let's stick to comedy.
Yeah. I would say, man, that last Whitewater show was pretty rough.
The one where or the tweaker, where you, the one where you actually booked the tweaker on the show, not just let him have the microphone, and then he dropped the microphone and it broke. It broke the microphone, and Germ had to go for 30 minutes, and the mic sounded like Mitch's podcast like the whole time.
Yeah, no, poor Germ, man. Germ has had some tough times, but you know what? We've all had tough times.
We have a Germ. He's, you know how some people in the family always get their food last. Every time you go out, you're just like fucking good. That's Germ. I remember the last open mic ever at the lab. Remember you were there.
Yep, I headlined it.
Yeah, you headlined it. But Germ showed up, and there was like nobody there, and we had like weaseled our way into the main area, and it was like 5 people, and like Stoney and Rudy had came fucking from Yuba City, and Germ showed up, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put Germ up right now because like everybody's still here. And then Germ went up. Germ was like, oh, I wasn't ready to go, and just went horribly, and he left. He was so mad at me.
Have either of you guys had like physical violence threatened against you during a show or a mic?
I don't think so.
That wasn't because of your mic, right? But you did get choked out at the down low, right?
No. The Adonis, I think, was choked.
Yeah, it was the Adonis,
chick,
Jake.
You know, I mean, but he, you know, according to, you know, he told me, you know, if chicks aren't choking you, you're not fucking doing your job. That's a quote from him. Besides that girl throwing that cup at me, that was about it.
I had a cop almost try to fight me one time at the open mic. The loudest heckler of the night, and I actually started making fun of him, started trying to roast him. And he tried to get in on stage. After that, he cornered me. We were like about to throw blows, and he was a fucking real drunk. But that's the closest I've ever come to physical violence during a mic.
He was an angry, large, older, drunk man ready to just get after it with you.
That would have been a great story. I would have loved to fight a drunk cop like that was like antagonizing it. Well, you guys have anything left to say? You want to say?
Hey, closing thoughts from our guest, Mitch.
You know, guys, just hot as hell in this room, and but other than that, no, you know, it's cool to be here, man. It really is. Like I said, I've been just chilling, just, you know, not been hanging out with anybody for 6 weeks. So it's cool to get to sit here with you guys and bullshit.
How does it feel, guys, to be over 30 years old hanging out in a 23-year-old's grandparents' house?
Where I literally sneak in beer every fucking time I come here.
Yeah, no, it's been cool. Hope you guys keep doing the podcast. Hope it goes good for you. Hope everyone checks out my shit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, anything else you want to plug?
You know, at HeartbreakerMV on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. And Mitch Valentine is my name on Facebook, man. You can find all my 500 pages and YouTube channels and all that cool stuff.
It'll find you too.
Yeah, it'll find you. You're getting if you request a friendship with me, be prepared to be invited to 5 pages in a group. No doubt about it. No, you know, we're all just out here. We're just we haven't been able to do what we love for 6 weeks, and I know that's taking a toll on us, but everything's gonna be cool. We'll get back to it. Love you guys, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for letting me talk shit to you. I only do it because I love you, and thanks for making the drive during this scary time. Anything left, Dillon? Nope. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in.